Hello and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and these are the top diabetes stories and headlines happening now. In the News is brought to you by Mom's Night Out. Treat yourself to some time away with other moms who get it. Our top story this week, the FDA is warning not to use off-brand versions of popular weight loss drugs Ozempic and Wegovy because they might not contain the same ingredients as the prescription products and may not be safe. Apparently, they've received some reports after patients used versions of semaglutide, the active ingredient in those medications, which have been compounded or mixed in pharmacies. Now, the FDA didn't say exactly what the problem was. These may contain a version of semaglutide that's used in lab research and has not been approved for use in people. Now, as of May, Ozempic and Wegovy are on the FDA's list of drug shortages, which means compounding pharmacies are permitted to produce versions of these medications. But the FDA reminds us to only obtain from a state-licensed pharmacy or other facilities registered with the FDA. Many people with diabetes in the United States have turned to crowdfunding to pay for their medical bills, even though a quarter of patients sampled had insurance. This is a new study by Duke University. These researchers evaluated 313 Go Fund Me campaigns, and they oversampled type 1 diabetes, so they say they could have a roughly even proportion of type 1 and non-type 1 diabetes campaign. They found the median fundraising goal was $10,000. The median amount raised was $2,600. Just 14% of campaigns reached their goals. Fewer than 10% requested money for insulin specifically. 48% of direct medical expenses were not directly related to glucose control. Something interesting here, but 35% of campaigns for people with type 1 diabetes were raising money for diabetic alert dogs, which cost about $15,000 and are not covered by insurance because of high variability in effectiveness. These researchers say, quote, clinicians who learn of a patient's intent to purchase a dog could redirect them toward proven management strategies, such as continuous glucose monitors. United Healthcare will now cover the Eversense E3 CGM system for people with type 1 and for people with type 2 who use insulin, and that will kick in on July 1st. The Eversense E3 is inserted just under the skin and stays there for 6 months. United Healthcare is the largest health insurance company in the United States. Little bit of news from Tandem in their last investor call from May. Between now and the end of the year, Tandem expects to launch integration of Dexcom's G7 and the Abbott Freestyle Libre 2 and 3 into the t:slim X2 insulin pump system. That would make Tandem the first FDA-cleared insulin pump integrated with multiple CGM sensors. That's according to the CEO, John Sheridan. He also said that a meaningful number of customers could be using a G7-connected t:slim pump by the third quarter, followed by the Libre sensors. These additions will come in the form of free remote software updates. Tandem is also optimistic about the approval of Mobi. This is the pump that's about half the size of the t:slim and is completely operated via a smartphone app that is still in front of the FDA. French Open organizers reversed their initial decision denying Alexander Zverev access to insulin injections on the court. They first said he'd have to do his injections during off-court bathroom breaks, something players only get 2 of. Zverev has lived with type 1 since he was 3, and apparently there were complaints after he injected himself during his 4th-round match. He said he was told it didn't look right. He said, quote, "This is not a clever take because if I don't do it, my life will be in danger, but they said it looks weird." An outpouring of reaction from the diabetes community, and JDRF weighed in saying it is critical that athletes with diabetes are given the necessary accommodation and support to effectively manage their condition while competing. This includes the ability to administer insulin when required, as recommended by their healthcare professionals. New research identifies a process in immune cells that links vitamin D deficiency during pregnancy to an increased risk of type 2 diabetes in those born from those pregnancies. The research is in the journal Nature Communications. Some theories of disease suggest that conditions in utero may have irreversible lifelong consequences in the babies born. The new study's principal investigator says that's what could be happening here to the children of mothers who don't have adequate levels of vitamin D during pregnancy. Right back to the news in just a moment, but first, I want to tell you about Diabetes Connections presents Mom's Night Out. Many of you know that my son was diagnosed with type 1 back in 2006, just before he turned 2. And in all that time, I've attended dozens of diabetes conferences and events and meetups and walks and everything else, but I always felt like something was missing. Now I've taken the best elements from those events and created a brand new experience just for moms. We're going to have a lot of diabetes technology for you to see and learn about, stress-relieving social time where you can meet other moms just like you, and speakers who are going to leave you feeling energized and ready to face the challenges of parenting a child with T1D. We've got 3 events on the books right now and hope to add more to the calendar for 2024, so stay tuned. This fall, we will be in Frisco, Texas, that's outside of Dallas, Providence, Rhode Island, and then back in Charlotte in early 2024. Find out more, go to diabetes-connections.com and look right on top for Mom's Night Out. Back to the news now, and an update sort of on non-invasive glucose monitoring. No Labs says they're in the next stage of their bio-RFID sensor. Lots of behind the scenes and lab advancements here from what I can tell. Their release says, in part, that for 2023, No Labs remains focused on external validation of its technology. The company will make further refinements to the Gen 1 device as it works toward realizing its vision for the No You and You band and bringing an FDA-cleared product to the marketplace. Dexcom focuses on mental health during the UK Diabetes Awareness Week. They've released a new study showing 84% of people surveyed agree having diabetes can negatively impact mental health. They are doing something that's pretty cute and fun. They say to honor the strength and resilience of the diabetes community, they will host a day of free puppy yoga classes. This is in London, sorry, but it is happening this Saturday. So if you're anywhere near London and you want to do yoga with a puppy, give Dexcom a call. I'll put the link in the show notes. If you go, send us some photos. All right, on the podcast next week, oh, this is so great. I'm talking to Katie Bone. Katie is the American Ninja Warrior Women's Champion. That episode just aired. It was so exciting to watch. She has very visible technology. She wears the Omnipod on one arm, the Dexcom on another, and she's the youngest American Ninja Warrior champion ever. She was 16 when she won. She is 17 now. That episode was actually taped more than a year ago, and a lot has happened since then, including some injuries. And she is incredibly open and honest about the struggles, along with all the good stuff. But man, really excited to bring you this episode. This past week, we had a deep dive into Ozempic and Wegovy on Mounjaro. I'm getting a lot of feedback from this episode, and I'm telling you, we're learning more and more about these medications. They are here to stay. There's a lot of hype and some misinformation around them. So I'd urge you to listen to that episode if you haven't already, because Dr. Steve Edelman from TCOYD tells it like it is, and I really appreciated him explaining everything so well. And that is it for In the News this week. If you like it, please share it. Thank you so much for joining me. Next week, I will be in San Diego for the American Diabetes Association Scientific Sessions. We will have more news than we know what to do with. I will try to get you as much information as I can. Our next In the News episode will be June 30th, but please follow me on social media. I'll be putting out a lot of stuff from ADA, and I'm sure many long format episodes to come. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Stacey Sims. I'll see you back here soon.
Diabetes Connections is a production of Stacey Sims Media. All rights reserved, all wrongs avenged.